Welcome to our video series on the history of World War II. The Second World War was one of the most significant and devastating conflicts in human history, and its impact is still felt today. From the rise of the Nazi regime to the use of atomic bombs, this war shaped the world we live in today. In this video series, we will explore the key events and themes of World War II, from the causes and course of the war to its lasting effects on society, politics, and culture. Through this journey, we hope to gain a deeper understanding of this pivotal moment in history and its ongoing relevance to the modern world. So sit back, grab some popcorn, and join us on this journey through the history of World War II. Once again, this is Teacher Junrel. I will give you a brief information about World War II. Learning outcomes. At the end of this lesson, the learner should be able to 1. Understanding the causes of World War II. 2. Appreciating the impact of World War II on the world. 3. Examining the ethical and moral implications of World War II. World War II was a global war that lasted from 1939 to 1945, involving the majority of the world's nations, including all of the great powers. It was the deadliest conflict in human history, with an estimated 50 million to 85 million fatalities. The war involved the mobilization of over 100 million military personnel, making it the most widespread war in history. The war began with the invasion of Poland by Nazi Germany and the subsequent declarations of war by Britain and France. The Axis powers, led by Germany, Italy, and Japan, sought to dominate the world and impose their ideologies. The Allies, led by the United States, Britain, and the Soviet Union, opposed them. The war saw the use of new and devastating weapons, including atomic bombs, and saw the Holocaust, in which millions of Jews and other minority groups were systematically murdered by the Nazis. The war had a profound impact on the world, leading to the formation of the United Nations and the beginning of the Cold War between the United States and the Soviet Union. It also led to the decolonization of many countries and the emergence of the United States and the Soviet Union as superpowers. Today, World War II remains a significant event in world history, with its impact still felt in many areas, including international relations, politics, and culture. The situation of the Philippines during World War II. The Philippines was a colony of the United States during World War II and was one of the first Asian countries to be attacked by the Japanese. The attack on the Philippines began on December 8, 1941, just hours after the Japanese attacked Pearl Harbor. The Philippines was ill-prepared for war, and the U.S. military forces in the country were caught off guard. The Japanese invasion of the Philippines was swift and brutal, with intense fighting occurring throughout the country. The Philippine-American forces, led by General Douglas MacArthur, were eventually forced to retreat to the Bataan Peninsula and Corregidor Island, where they held out against the Japanese for several months. The situation for the Filipino people during the Japanese occupation was harsh. The Japanese enforced strict rules and regulations, including a curfew and the confiscation of radios and weapons. The Filipino people were forced to work for the Japanese, and many were subjected to torture, imprisonment, and execution for resisting the occupation. The Philippines became a key battleground in the Pacific War, with intense fighting occurring throughout the country. The Battle of Leyte Gulf in 1944 was the largest naval battle in history and marked the beginning of the end of the Japanese occupation of the Philippines. The U.S. and Philippine forces eventually liberated the country in 1945, after 3 years of occupation. The war had a profound impact on the Philippines, with over 1 million Filipinos killed or wounded during the conflict. The country was left devastated, with its infrastructure and economy in ruins. The war also had lasting effects on Philippine-U.S. relations, leading to the granting of Philippine independence in 1946. United States of America responded the war. After the Japanese invasion of the Philippines in 1941, the United States responded by sending military forces to the country to defend it from the Japanese. However, the U.S. military was unprepared and poorly equipped for the war, and they were quickly overwhelmed by the Japanese forces. Despite this, the U.S. military continued to fight alongside Filipino forces against the Japanese. General Douglas MacArthur, the commander of the U.S. forces in the Philippines, famously declared, "I shall return," after being forced to evacuate the country in 1942. This statement became a rallying cry for the Filipino people and the U.S. military, who were determined to liberate the Philippines from the Japanese occupation. In 1944, the U.S. military launched a massive invasion of the Philippines, with MacArthur leading the charge. The battle for the Philippines was fierce and intense, with the Japanese mounting a stubborn defense. However, the U.S. military was eventually able to push the Japanese out of the country, with the Battle for Manila being one of the most brutal and devastating of the war. Throughout the war, the U.S. military worked closely with Filipino forces, who provided valuable intelligence and support. The Filipino people also played a significant role in the resistance against the Japanese occupation, with many risking their lives to help the U.S. and Filipino forces. Overall, the U.S. response to the war in the Philippines was a mix of military action and cooperation with Filipino forces and civilians. The U.S. military and the Filipino people worked together to drive the Japanese out of the Philippines, although the war left the country devastated and with lasting effects on its economy and society. And yes, that's all for now. I hope you learned in this video. Until next time, don't forget to hit like, share, and subscribe for more video updates. Thank you for watching.